Hello, Utah fans and film fanatics. It's Elijah coming at you again from day 4 of the Utah International Film Festival. We're continuing our series on interviewing filmmakers. With me today, we have Spencer Fackrell, who made the movie Geronimo. So please tell us a little bit about the story.
Yeah, Geronimo is it's a story that explores kind of a coming of age of our young protagonist Lewis, who's had some difficulties, some challenges in his life. So he's a little anxious, maybe socially awkward growing up, and towards the beginning of the film, his pillar, his foundation, his dad passes away, and he's kind of left standing by himself, and so he's thrown into this unknown world, kind of follow the hero's journey, and he leans on his action figure is kind of his sidekick, and he finds a lot of courage and kind of bravery in that. And there are motifs and types and shadows of his father in that action figure as well. And so Lewis goes on this adventure, and he finds himself and he finds his dad, through Geronimo, and he's able to kind of become a better person through it all. So it's a fun film. It's a simple film. It's very attainable. We had a low budget. We had a short schedule to film it all, and so this was the story that I wanted to tell.
Awesome. Man, yeah, low budget, no time. That sounds familiar, I'm sure, to a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And I'm just curious, what was some of the inspiration to come up with that cool idea? That's really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more of a unique one. I'll say the theme to people, and they're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
kind of different." Honestly, it came I'm sure as a lot of creators, it's when you're listening to music or when you just have that time to really let your mind roam.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought of what's an easy story that you can tell with only one actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you have supporting roles that don't have to deal with, working with multiple actors? And so I thought of an inanimate action figure that's really easy. You don't have to block them in or give them lines or anything. And there's a lot of show, don't tell that can be played into that as well. So
Yeah.
it was a good artistic kind of challenge to use an action figure.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really cool, though. It reminds me of Tom Hanks and Wilson in Castaway.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So that's really, really great. I love that. So we're also asking filmmakers, just kind of in the order of producing a film, what some of the interesting highlights might be. So starting first with pre-production, why don't you tell us a little bit? I'm sure casting must have been straightforward with a one-person cast, but was there a process around that, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so the process of making Geronimo, it was a lot of work. It was more than I had anticipated. I made a short film in college, and I said, okay, I want to make a feature this time around. So months and months of ideation, coming up with the concept, really fleshing out the story. And I did a lot of research on story theory, like the hero's journey, and okay, how does he go out of his natural world, and what guides does Lewis meet? And so you'll see a lot of these kind of like road signs of the hero's journey through this film, and it was a way to show that, okay, I understand basic storytelling structure. So there were months of just like really playing out different ideas, talking with friends, talking with my wife about, does this make sense? What loopholes? What gaps are here? And then really started to write out the script. From you mentioned earlier casting. Casting was actually pretty difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting with the simple structure of using Geronimo as an action figure. Actually opened up to, I think there were around 8 roles as contributing characters and actors. So we had I sent out on a Facebook post. I just said, hey, to different groups in Utah acting. I said, hey, here is my feature film. I made a page on my website that kind of outlined the vision and the whole goal, and I had people apply. I made a spreadsheet of people's names, a picture, their ages, and everything, and I started kind of lining up different roles with different people that were interested, and eventually got to the point where I would send them a part of the script. They'd record themselves, send it in, and it was a miracle. We just got everyone casted in about a month or two, just in time to start filming. I think we were about a month out when I had the whole cast locked in, and everyone was so game. Everyone was really enthusiastic about the story, and I still just am in awe of the cast. They went above and beyond, really helpful, really enthusiastic, and luckily we were able to get a little bit of funds to pay them, but it was an extremely low budget film. So everything was self-funded. We had 8 days to film. So once we had the script and cast, we did one script read through, like maybe 2 days before we started filming. Everyone showed up. We had some pizza. We read through the script. Everyone felt good. And what was really neat about this filmmaking experience is working with people that have done theater and acting before. And so, with low budget filmmaking, you're usually calling on friends and family who might not have the most experience memorizing scripts. And so it was a pleasant surprise to show up on set, open up our binder to, scene 4 of day 3, and everyone had their lines memorized, and we were able to just really film and then focus on their delivery and their emotion on screen. So that pulls up to production, which was also just a miracle that nothing wrong happened. When you're making a film, you expect to have things go wrong. You plan for it, because if you don't, suddenly you're backlogged, your location you're out of time and you can't go back, and your whole movie is just kind of ruined. So we ran the risk. I intentionally ran the risk of having enough planned that if our main actor, Lewis, this is an example, he's played by Anthony, and Anthony studies acting out in New York. He was home, Utah, for just the summer. He had just enough time to film, and then right after we wrapped filming, he was going back to school. So if we had anything go wrong, we couldn't film another day. So
wow.
We had 8 days, 8 full days. We had a color-coded schedule. I think my production assistants, Ashlyn and Bryson, 2 young, aspiring filmmakers like myself, who really just were thorough, making sure that everything was planned and making sure that everyone showed up on time. And I really had a great crew. Everyone came together, and we were able to get through every scene, every shot, and we didn't drop anything. We didn't miss anything. It's unheard of when you make your first feature film, and it was flawless. And I think it shows in the film. It really came out well.
I have to say, as I'm hearing you describe all of this, I've used the term magic a lot, because there's just so many factors that have to come together in order to work. But even more so, I was actually like, this is like alchemy. You know what I mean? There's all these different moving things coming together, and certain restraints, even unrelated to the original schedule, that had to be considered. And then bam, and the fact that Anthony was in town, for the just happened to be in town for that window.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, so just with regard to shooting, then were there any? I know 8 days is pretty tight. So I imagine, probably a lot of missed sleep from the crew and cast. Was there anything funny or, anything in particular that you want to highlight?
I think something that was really unique was the amount of locations that we got to film at. So this is kind of a suburban film, and we were able to film in an Airbnb. And so, the people we messaged, we asked for permission to film, and they're like, "We want to see the film. This is awesome." It was this really quirky old house that had a lot of character to it, which just speaks so loudly on the screen. And we filmed in a grocery store, and we filmed in a Chinese restaurant, and it was really fun being in these locations with no budget, because we were up against the clock, and we had 30 minutes before the restaurant opened and they started letting people come in, and we had to quickly pack up all our gear. And so I think probably the most memorable day was our last day of shooting. And I intentionally planned our last day to be our day out in the desert. So there's this scene where Lewis is out, our main protagonist. He's just kind of traversing through the desert on his own, and we had one full day to get all of our desert footage, and it was hot, it was miserable, and the crew they stuck through it, and we wrapped filming sun setting in the desert, and it was incredible that we got it all.
Yeah, that is awesome. So 8 days to shoot. Then what was post-production like?
Yeah, post-production, we filmed Geronimo end of July into the beginning of August, and film festival submissions opened up September, October.
Oh, wow.
So this was filmed in a week, and it was edited in 3 weeks. And so just
a feature
length.
Like made in a month.
Yeah, made in a month. So edited in DaVinci Resolve. I had I think I had 6 versions of the film. So I'd watch the first, I'd show it to my brother-in-law. He'd give me some feedback. I'd show the second version to my wife, and maybe have some tweaks here and there. And we got 6 versions, and this final polished version out in time to submit to festivals.
That's amazing. Awesome. And speaking of festivals, is there anything with regard to our festival that you are hoping to come away with?
Yeah, I think I'm just super excited to be part of the Utah International Film Festival. This is my first time being in a festival, so I feel really privileged to be accepted and to have my film showcased. And I think all I'm really looking forward to or hoping to get out of this is just part of the experience, right? Just kind of soaking it all in. You guys run a great production, and I'm just excited to be part of it. So I'm excited to see the film with everyone that's coming out tonight, and I feel really fortunate and lucky to be here. So,
Spencer, I have to say I'm excited to see this. After hearing all of this, especially, even more so now. Thank you so much for taking time today and to tell us a little bit about Geronimo. Before we wrap up today's interview, is there anything else you'd like to share with folks watching through the tubes?
Yeah, I just like to thank my cast and crew. I don't know if you guys are watching this, but again, seriously couldn't have done this without you. So really appreciate it. And for all of you filmmakers out there, you can do it. I had 2 goals last year. It was to graduate and make this film, and I did it. And I know that if you put your mind to it, and you're able to compartmentalize and systematically approach kind of chipping away at something that's passionate and meaningful to you, you can make it work. If I can make it work, anyone can. So,
oh man, no, seriously, it's definitely been a pleasure getting to talk to you today. Thank you so much for your time, and for everyone else tuning in, thank you so much as always. And until the next one, stay tuned.